The manga begins with the main character questioning his girlfriend about why she decided to become his partner, despite his perceived shortcomings. She acknowledges his lack of talent, education, and financial stability, considering him a worthless person at the bottom of the barrel. In response, his girlfriend admits that seeing him in such a state makes her feel inexplicably happy. In the next scene, the MC is deeply asleep in his bed, so unresponsive to his ringing alarm that he appears almost dead. Despite this, he eventually wakes up and immediately dashes out of the house. Soon he is standing in front of his girlfriend, apologizing profusely for being an entire hour late. Panting and out of breath, he admits that despite it being a long-awaited date, he feels like a failure as a boyfriend and expresses his sincere apologies to Hizumi-san. In response, she calmly questions Shinba about his sleep and preparations for the day. She asks when he went to bed and if he consumed any caffeine, noting that he set multiple alarms on both his clock and phone. Despite these efforts, he still couldn't wake up on time. Hizumi then wonders aloud how he managed to be an office worker for 2 years. She ends by remarking, with a hint of irony, that since he's now employed, it's irrelevant. Shinba becomes flustered as Hizumi steps closer to him. Nervously, he apologizes, shaking slightly as he asks for her forgiveness. Hizumi takes his hand, leaving him uncertain whether she has forgiven him or not. Nonetheless, he follows her, practically being dragged along as she holds his hand in silence. When they reach the cinema, Hizumi finally breaks the silence by asking him about the movie he's been looking forward to. They enter the cinema hall and take their seats. Shinba, smiling broadly, exclaims that they're about to watch a movie featuring an epic gathering of heroes. Hizumi admits she hasn't seen any of those heroes' movies and wonders if that's a problem. Shinba reassures her, saying it's totally fine because the movie is popular and enjoyable even for first-time watchers. He promises to explain any in-jokes from past films later and tells her to leave it to him. Hizumi looks at him with loving eyes as the movie starts. A little while later, Hizumi takes a sip of her drink and notices Shinba has dozed off in his seat. Smiling, she gently takes the trembling popcorn from his hands and sets it aside. With a blush and a fond look, she gets closer to him, amused by his peaceful, sleeping face. As the movie finishes, they head to a restaurant, where Shinba is pleading with her, apologizing profusely for sleeping through the movie he personally recommended. With a slightly annoyed expression, she tells him he's been like that for a while now, even after she told him it was enough already. This realization makes Shinba feel even more sorry, repeating his apologies. Hizumi looks at him calmly and reassures him, saying she was actually quite satisfied with the movie. This leaves him in awe. She adds that the movie was plenty amusing, but she also got to see something even more interesting than that, leaving him curious. When he asks what it could be, she smiles and says the secret, teasing him with a giggle. As the waitress arrives with their food, Shinba instantly gets excited and thanks Hizumi for the meal. While eagerly eating, he plans to quickly explain the parts she missed, determined to make up for it. Hizumi watches him with loving eyes as he munches on his food. After a moment, he begins to tell her about a character from the opening scene that reappeared from the last movie. He asks her about that scene, knowing she's a first-time watcher, with a playful grin. Hizumi humorously questions if Shinba wants her to talk while he eats, relying on his nerves to time his replies between her chatter. She playfully asks if he's being that cruel. Shinba, flustered, apologizes for his repeated apologies, and Hizumi teases him for using the same line all day. Reflecting on his failures, Shinba feels embarrassed for ruining their special date with his mishaps and wonders why he always messes up. Hizumi assures him it's okay and encourages him to relax and eat comfortably. Shinba, with teary eyes, wonders if she forgave him or if she's just frustrated. He couldn't help but be captivated by her expressions and demeanor, even as she calmly paid for their meal. As they leave the restaurant, he promises to repay her, noticing her unwavering gaze. Hizumi calls his name and with a grin admits that dinner with him was the most delicious one she's had in a while, leaving Shinba confused by her mysterious smile. He apologizes for all his mistakes that day, feeling like a disappointment. Hizumi, with a comforting tone, suggests he might be abandoned, to which Shinba confirms. Izumi speaks in a serious tone, noting his pattern of repeating mistakes and seeking forgiveness, likening it to a shivering puppy. She questions if anyone would truly be happy with such behavior. Hearing this, Shinba sweats nervously, assuming she might want to end things. Quickly, he assures her that he'll learn from his mistakes and strive to make her happy next time, pleading for her forgiveness like a beggar. Just then, she surprises him by calling his name and snapping a photo, finding his expression amusing. She smirks, admitting she had a great time today. Placing her hand on his shoulder, Hizumi reassures Shinba that she doesn't mind his anxiousness at all and apologizes for making him feel that way. Getting closer, she admits her feelings for him and asks for forgiveness with a warm hug, leaving Shinba pleasantly flustered as he stutters his love for her. As her bus arrives, Hizumi calls his name once more, promising to see him again before departing. Watching her leave, Shinba reflects on her habit of saying, "I'll see you again," at every departure, pondering what she sees in him. Despite his insecurities, he resolves to become a better person for her sake, even if just a little bit at a time. Meanwhile, Hizumi looks at Shinba's picture on her phone, acknowledging his apologies but teasingly calling him truly useless. Nonetheless, she giggles to herself, feeling genuinely happy. A few days later, Izumi calling Shinba, checking on him. She expresses relief that it's just a cold, though she teases him about his bad luck and inability to do anything due to the fever. With a laugh, she tells him to keep resting and writhing in pain, promising to visit him later. While picking up medicine for him, Hizumi wonders where his cold came from. Entering his house, she finds Shinba shivering with cold and fear, pleading for forgiveness as usual. She calmly remarks that he looks like a mess, with fluids seeping everywhere. She hands him an envelope, saying it's a rehydration solution, and that she bought a bunch of things since she figured he wouldn't have any medicine. Shinba thanks her, and as she looks around, she comments that it's her first time visiting his place. Hizumi enters Shinba's house and observes the mess: bundles of cardboard, scattered clothing, and expired food. She remarks on the state of his home, calling it a mess. Shinba, embarrassed, admits he has no excuse. With a light tone, Hizumi comments on the rotten and broken things tucked away, likening it to Shinba's way of avoiding things he doesn't want to face. She smirks and teases him, saying it sounds like his way of life. Shinba apologizes, explaining that when he was working, he was too busy to tidy up, and it just became part of his daily routine. Noticing him coughing, Hizumi gently pushes him out of the kitchen, telling him to rest. She reassures him that she doesn't mind and will prepare a few days' worth of easily edible food for him. With a smirk, she mocks him, telling him not to let her cooking go to waste. Shinba quickly agrees. Lying down, he reflects on wanting to improve himself but feeling like he's causing trouble for Hizumi again. Meanwhile, Hizumi is busy cooking, and with just 5 minutes left for her dish to be ready, she notices a diary. She asks Shinba if it's from his school days and if she can take a look. Though embarrassed, Shinba allows her. Flipping through, Hizumi finds a school photo and notes with a grin that Shinba hasn't changed at all, which makes sense since it was only 2 years ago. Shinba reflects on his difficult school years and his hope that adulthood would be better. After high school, he struggled at his job, facing constant scolding and overtime until he quit after 2 years. Now he chuckles at his situation, calling himself a proper useless person. Hizumi smiles, teasing him about his naive assumption that adulthood would bring happiness without much thought, pointing out his vague path and misjudged career choice. Nervously, he agrees with her. Just then, the timer beeps, indicating the food is ready. Hizumi brings the meal over, indicating that the path Shinba chose led him to this moment of enjoying her home cooking. She gestures towards the food, asking him about its taste. Shinba looks at her cluelessly, then takes a bite and is instantly shocked by how delicious it is. He admires the taste, eagerly taking another bite. Izumi watches him with loving eyes, making his heart race. Trying to compose himself, Shinba asks about her school days. Hizumi turns to his school diary and gets lost in thought, leaving Shinba looking at her in confusion. With a smirk, Hizumi asks Shinba to imagine how her high school days were, how her youth played out, and how her love unfolded. She looks at him with a warm expression, suggesting he try to picture what kind of girl she was back then. Shinba ponders Hizumi's student days, love, and youth as he imagines scenes from her school days. He envisions her as someone who knew how to love even a useless person like him. In his imagination, she's a strict student, always scolding others for not studying, and he pictures her noticing untidy things and trash around. He imagines being scolded by her if they were in school together, and he wonders if she would have called him a useless person, offering to educate him about certain things. He imagines how she would patiently teach him small things and study together with him, making him blush and feel flustered. When Hizumi asks if he imagined anything, he quickly backs off, excusing himself to rest. In response, Hizumi lovingly calls him strange with a giggle. As night falls, Shinba lies down and reminisces about his school days. He remembers his friend teasing him about constantly tripping and having a runny nose. At work, he recalls getting scolded for not working efficiently like his coworkers. He feels as though their words are echoing in his mind, urging him to become cleaner and flawless, emphasizing why he feels useless. In his dream, the thoughts scare him, causing him to scream and wake up abruptly. Panting heavily, he pulls his blanket over him, feeling startled. He wonders about conking like that. Just then, he hears Izumi asking if he's awake, her lovely eyes meeting his. This startles Shinba even more, and he nervously asks her what she's doing. She smirks, saying she was just thinking about how he seemed to struggle with a fever and looked lonely during his nightmare, and that she preferred he didn't die without her seeing him. So she's been watching his sleeping face to capture this moment. Upon hearing Izumi's remarks, Shinba gets scared and starts sweating heavily, pleading silently for her not to say such scary things. Izumi giggles, indicating it was just a joke. Feeling embarrassed, Shinba awkwardly apologizes for the messy bedding and his sweatiness, promising to get his old futon. He worries about her sleeping next to him in such conditions, considering her preference for cleanliness. Izumi remains calm, assuring him it's fine for just one night and offering her a cushion. She admits that she feels more at ease in slightly dirtier places than overly immaculate ones, surprising Shinba. Shinba is in awe as Izumi admits that his room could use some cleaning, but she disinfected it and laid down her own bath towel. He's surprised by her preparedness, feeling somewhat disgraceful for not being more considerate. Secretly peeping at her, Shinba wonders if even as he is now, he can stay by Izumi's side if he said such things to her. In the morning, Izumi checks his fever and finds it has gone down, expressing slight disappointment that her first stay at his place was to nurse him back to health. Shinba apologizes instantly, and she puts on her jacket, telling him to rest while she goes to work, to which he thanks her and bids her to take care. Izumi asks if he'll be lonely, making Shinba jolt, but she smiles, reassuring him that if he doesn't rest and the fever returns, she might have to stay over again. She ruffles his hair, leaving the decision to him, teasing him lightly about being a useless person. As she leaves, she waves, trusting him to make the right choice, and bids him farewell with a promise to see him again. After she has left, Shinba lies on his bed, pondering which choice is right for Izumi. He feels conflicted, wanting her to come by but also wanting to recover from his cold. He frets over being gross despite being a man. As Izumi heads home, she receives Shinba's text, where he apologizes for resting up and thanks her for helping him get well. He asks if he made the right choice. She giggles while reading it, thinking it's too bad. Another day, Izumi receives a call from Shinba and asks if he's suggesting going to the game center, saying she hasn't played much lately but doesn't mind them. She chuckles at Shinba's enthusiasm, calling him a chatterbox. Surprisingly, when she arrives, he is already there, waving at her eagerly. She teases him for being early and remarks on his punctuality. Shinba excitedly explains he didn't want to be late since he invited her. Hearing he set 3 alarms surprises Izumi. After a while, she announces they've arrived, pointing out the game center ahead with excitement. Shinba excitedly explains to her how game centers, despite being less common now, still offer unique gaming experiences unmatched by online games. Izumi listens quietly. Meanwhile, Shinba feels a bit down, thinking about his recent mishaps during their date and when she took care of him. He wants to show her his cool side to erase those memories and gain recognition, taking a step towards no longer being seen as useless. With excitement, Shinba rushes to the game box, leaving Izumi a bit puzzled. After some time, he screams in excitement, announcing his victory. He proudly tells her about clearing the hardest song in the game, albeit after 3 tries. He eagerly asks for her opinion, repeating his question in his excitement. Reluctantly, Izumi smiles and compliments his gaming skills, acknowledging his coolness. She wonders aloud if he only invited her to boast about his gaming prowess. To lighten the mood, she suggests they play games together instead. Shinba nervously denies her assumption, and Izumi suggests they move on to games they can enjoy together. Soon, they start playing the zombie game, but our pro gamer hero, Shinba, quickly runs out of ammo. Meanwhile, she is busy taking down zombies and assures him she'll revive him later. Next, they play a fighting game, and once again, Izumi is acing it, effortlessly dodging all of Shinba's attacks. With just 1 kick from Izumi, he is knocked out, leaving him disappointed in himself, wondering why he can't land his killer move despite memorizing all the commands. Izumi calmly responds, acknowledging his efforts but hinting it might be more than just hitting the right moves. Determined, Shinba grits his teeth and asks for one more try, to which Izumi chuckles and agrees. Next, they try a punching game. Poor Shinba can only manage a punch score of 60. Embarrassed but trying to stay calm, he laughs it off, saying he just couldn't move his body well and that he might have done better if he were still working. Then our queen Hizumi steps up, delivers a punch, and scores 140 in one go. She turns to Shinba, jokingly asking how many kilos he would have scored if he were still working. Ignoring her playful jab, Shinba excitedly runs towards another game, spotting a crane game with cute stuffed animals. Hizumi smirks, agreeing with him and praising the adorable plushies inside. Shinba explains that winning the crane game requires observing from multiple angles to find perfect hooking points and not relying solely on the hook's strength. He muses to himself that if he can win a plushie and give it to her as a present, she might see a new version of him and think he's cool. With great effort, he finally manages to grab a plushie. He proudly hands it to Hizumi, who showers him with praise, making him giggle. Next, they head to a dance game and have a blast dancing to their favorite music. As they consider their next destination, Shinba uses all his remaining brain cells to think of the perfect place to take Hizumi. Noticing his anxiety, Hizumi gives him a loving look and giggles. Next, they head to a restaurant to enjoy some burgers. Next, they go to a restaurant to enjoy some good burgers. While Hizumi is happily sipping her drink, Shinba lays his head on the table, looking gloomy like a sad movie heroine. He wonders why he didn't get a single chance to show off and feels like he should have been the more knowledgeable one. He thinks to himself that Hizumi is pretty good at whatever she plays with him too. Noticing his disappointed expression, Hizumi tells him he's kind and suggests that he hold back to give her a fair chance, so she can have a fun time playing. She takes out the plushie he won for her and says that thanks to him, she got this one here. She adds that he has quite the gentlemanly side, which lights up his face with a bright smile. He nervously agrees, saying she saw right through him, but then he notices something off about the plushie. It has a loose eye. He suggests they tell the employees about the defect to get a new one, but Hizumi smirks and admits she likes this one more. Shinba argues that there are prettier ones with the same design, but Hizumi calmly responds that she can fix it, revealing that sewing is her hobby. She admits she can't match his enthusiasm for games, which embarrasses him. He laments his lack of confidence, but Hizumi reassures him, explaining different kinds of love and how value comes from the enjoyment of one's passions. She smiles, saying it's not about winning but finding value in the effort. Shinba agrees, and as they prepare to leave, Hizumi mentions picking up flowers. Shinba, still disappointed in himself, notices a romance accessories shop and he knows what to do next. Finally, Hizumi arrives, apologizing for the wait. Shinba, feeling a bit flustered, presents the ring to Hizumi, but it's more of a yikes than a wow. It was unmistakably cheap, shaped like a heart, and Hizumi's traumatized expression didn't escape his notice. He glanced at the nearby romance accessories shop and in a flash understood everything. Shinba, sensing her reaction, hurriedly rose from his seat to explain why he chose the ring, hoping it would make her happy, but seeing her dim expression, he offered to return it. Hizumi calmly calls his name, and he instantly answers yes like a cheap toy parrot. Hizumi questioned Shinba's choice of the cheap ring, wondering if he believed she'd be happy with such a gesture or if he was simply seeking a cheap romantic token. Clumsy lad apologizes to her once more, internally questioning if adult women would really appreciate such a toy. Seeing his puppy face, she reassures him with a smile, saying she never said she hated it and thanks him, though she admits she might not wear it. As she walks away, Shinba feels disappointed but resolves to become a better boyfriend for Hizumi, thinking about getting her a proper ring next time. Meanwhile, she tries on the ring at home, thinking it's too cheap to wear outside, yet decides to keep it on while working remotely. The scene transitions to Hizumi wondering what kind of songs Shinba will sing. She texts him, expressing her excitement for the karaoke session. Shinba arrives at the karaoke center and waves at Hizumi, who notices his hoarse voice and jokes about his practice. Shinba, trying to cover up, exaggerates his denial, fearing his voice might not cooperate. Internally, he hopes singing well will help him achieve a cool image. Hizumi giggles, hoping for some good songs from him. As they enter the karaoke cafe, Shinba silently resolves to himself that this time around, he'll show Hizumi-san his better side and dispel her low opinion of him. He also managed a consistent 80 points while practicing yesterday. At the very least, he hopes he won't embarrass himself with his singing, probably. When it comes to choosing the song, our bro doesn't hesitate, opting for a 10-minute piece as if they have all the time in the world. As he began singing, the lyrics came out in a clumsy, middle-schoolish manner, as expected from Shinba. However, Izumi manages to cheer him on with a fake smile. As the song concludes, Shinba receives an unexpected 85 score, surpassing his expectations. Glancing at Izumi, he wonders if Izumi noticed his improvement, considering the difficulty level of the song. He starts rambling about the song, narrating its whole story, then makes a cutesy face and looks at Izumi for praise, who remains as cool as ice. She begins speaking, asking if he finds it good, and remarks that she finds the song quite difficult, but acknowledges his singing as impressive, especially the impactful volume of his voice. Shinba giggles proudly, prompting Izumi to sarcastically offer him more words of praise, highlighting his attempts to make himself look good, and jokingly suggesting various compliments he might desire. Shinba, still clueless, asks if the song was cool, seeking reassurance, but Izumi responds with a cold gaze and suggests she may not have liked the song. Realizing his mistake, Shinba trembles with fear, wondering what to do next, feeling embarrassed. Izumi, however, reassures him with loving eyes, saying there's no need to apologize, and she genuinely appreciated his effort, encouraging him to continue the story with the next chapter, despite her mixed feelings about the song. Izumi smirks, asking if he's really going to proclaim embarrassment at this point. Excited, he pulls out all the chapters and puts all his effort into impressing Izumi. After finishing, he thumps his head on the table, exhausted. Izumi giggles and claps, praising him. Realizing how embarrassing the situation is, he starts sweating profusely and frustratedly thinks back on how foolish he was, singing a song that obviously wouldn't mean much to anyone who doesn't know it. Izumi giggles, teasing Shinba about his hoarse voice and the sweat pouring off him. Panicking, Shinba freaks out, worried that his sweat stinks, and rushes off to wash his hands, not noticing Izumi pulling out a deodorant. In the bathroom, he realizes he left his towel behind. Reflecting on his situation, he wonders how long he'll stay this way. He sang so much his head hurts, and he's embarrassed to remember his tone-deaf performance and how he made a fool of himself. Now he's sweaty and can't face going back. To make matters worse, he can't remember their room number and left his phone behind, so he can't even contact Izumi. As Shinba comes out of the bathroom, he feels increasingly uneasy and starts hearing voices in his head, which scare him. He imagines the doors of all the rooms mocking him, calling him useless, and hears giggles and laughter everywhere he looks. Tears well up in his eyes as he thinks about his perceived worthlessness and fears he has nowhere to return to, feeling unworthy of being by Izumi's side. Overwhelmed by fear, he tries to escape the imaginary voices when suddenly, someone gently embraces him. It's Izumi, who hugs him and helps him calm down. She guides him back to their room, concerned about his prolonged absence. Realizing he was lost, Shinba collapses tiredly on the couch and apologizes, admitting he forgot to bring something to wipe himself with and now feels self-conscious about his appearance and smell. Izumi comes closer and sniffs Shinba, remarking that he's really reeking of sweat. She then takes out a towel and, to his surprise, starts wiping his face with it. Looking at him with lovely eyes, she says it's just as she thought. While wiping his face, she giggles and remarks that he smells so much, it's like he got doused by the rain. She laughs, admitting that it suits him. She softly wipes his neck, thanking him, leaving him in awe. Then she sits back in her seat and mentions she sang something while he was away, inviting him to pick his next song. Flustered, Shinba thinks about how she even had to wipe his sweat off, feeling like nothing has been going well today. Izumi giggles and asks what kind of song he'll pick next. With that, Shinba starts his next song, choosing a rain song. His performance is pretty good, earning him a score of 71. Izumi nervously asks him about the song, and Shinba explains that when he invited her to the movies, he was interested in the one she liked. He looked it up and found the theme song quite famous, so he thought he might as well try it. Though he had never sung any English songs before, he spent the entire day yesterday practicing. Hearing this, Izumi giggles and remarks that he wasn't practicing, which makes Shinba a bit embarrassed. He admits that he does like the movie. She calmly reveals that it's this song she likes in particular. She describes how, in the middle of the rain, where everyone usually hates to be, the characters in the movie looked so happy singing this song while going back home. It got her interested because it celebrates happiness after meeting their lover, loving the rain itself. Shinba then thinks to himself that he should have spent the day watching the movie instead of just practicing, realizing she's right. Izumi gazes at him affectionately, suggesting they sing together again, filling Shinba with excitement. Reflecting on their duet, Shinba feels nervous yet inspired by Hizumi's beautiful voice, enhancing their performance like characters in a romantic movie. Despite practicing all day, he admits his singing wasn't great, to which Hizumi surprisingly agrees. In her usual straightforward tone, she remarks on Shinba's vocals, pointing out their flaws and his overextension. Leaving him apologizing once again, she gently pats his cheek with a towel, admitting it's just like him, and laughs softly, leaving Shinba in awe. As their date ends, they exit the building, and Hizumi bids goodbye with a smile. Shinba, surprised, asks if she's not taking the bus home, to which she expresses her desire to walk today. Walking away, she checks Shinba's favorite songs on her phone, feeling excited and thinking, maybe this isn't so bad after all. Enjoying the soothing music as she walks in the rain, despite its middle schoolish vibes. On the other side, Shinba is also browsing through Singin' in the Rain appreciation posts online. He finds himself intrigued by the movie, realizing it might actually be pretty good, contrary to his initial impression. Later, Shinba puts on a quirky, Joker-like outfit, hoping it will be perfect for his date tomorrow. He imagines their day together, meeting at the station and having lunch with Hizumi-san, wishing to impress her with his coolness. The next day, Hizumi waits for Shinba, wondering if he's awake by now. Just then, he appears, apologizing for making her wait. Hizumi is taken aback by his bizarre outfit, which also draws the attention of onlookers. When she asks about his getup, he explains that he bought new clothes and styled his hair to match. Completely satisfied with his outfit, clueless Shinba confidently thinks he has impressed her. The day before, Shinba arranged a part-time job interview and thought about getting some nice shoes. While shopping, he noticed an advertisement aimed at men, suggesting that women find it disgraceful to walk with tacky partners. It says if you want to cleanse your filthy self, go visit our store. This triggered his worst nightmare of Hizumi remarking on his appearance and suggesting they break up because he was so unfashionable. Determined to avoid that fate, Shinba spotted a cheap jacket in the store and spent all his savings on it. He then found an online tutorial to style his hair to match the jacket, but struggled to follow it and got frustrated. However, he was determined not to bring shame to Hizumi-san, so somehow he managed to create a disaster look and now stands in front of Hizumi, wondering if his effort paid off. Hizumi approaches and sarcastically praises his style, grabbing a piece of his jacket. Our poor, clueless Shinba thinks he has genuinely impressed her. Hizumi teases Shinba about his outfit, praising his radical hairstyle and the chaotic arrangement of zippers on his jacket, which she says reflects his character. She notes the contrast between the extravagant jacket and his simple old pants, highlighting his single-minded nature. With a chuckle, she calls his mix of styles typical of him. Despite her sarcastic praise, Shinba feels something is off as he notices the unsettling gazes of onlookers. He starts to realize how uncomfortable he looks and reflects on the situation, feeling the pain of discovering that what he thought was a cool look is actually incredibly lame. The weight of the awkwardness sinks in, and he silently apologizes to himself for his misguided attempt at being stylish. Hizumi, noticing his discomfort, suggests that after they eat, they should go looking for new clothes. She reassures him that she can help him find something that doesn't stray too far from the norm and will make him look better. This offer lifts his spirits a bit as they head towards the shop, hopeful for a style upgrade. Looking around, Shinba is surprised at how difficult it seems to step into the stores. Hizumi reassures him that going in together as a couple will make it easier. As they approach a store, a salesperson greets them warmly, causing Shinba to start sweating nervously. The salesperson tries to calm him down, but overwhelmed by the customer service, Shinba runs away from the entrance. The sales girls comment on his clumsiness, whispering that they'd rather not have customers like him. Hearing this, Shinba starts shivering, knowing Hizumi must also be hearing their comments. Despite keeping her usual cold demeanor, Hizumi approaches Shinba, grabs his arm, and suggests they go dress up together. The girls are shocked as Hizumi comes near Shinba, who is equally bewildered by her holding him like that. Ignoring their reactions, Hizumi asks if they should leave now. As they walk away, the stunned girls murmur, wondering if they are a real couple. Inside the clothing store, Hizumi suggests they start by finding a color that suits him. She asks to see his wrist, and after examining it, remarks that vivid colors wouldn't suit him. Instead, more subdued autumn colors might work better. Meanwhile, Shinba is only focusing on the texture of Hizumi's hand and how close she is. When she moves her hand to his chest, making him more flustered, she comments on his thin and slender build. She suggests that instead of the hoodie he always wears, he should try something more slim fit to avoid a slovenly impression. Izumi also advises that with his thin silhouette, he can go for something more complex. Meanwhile, Shinba is so disoriented by Izumi being so close that he starts admiring her. He thinks to himself how, since Izumi is so tall, it's refreshing to see her hair whirl like this. He finds her hair beautiful. She then pats his cheeks, noting his flushed face and how she won't be able to use it as a reference if he keeps changing color. She cups his face in her hands, which makes Shinba worry about getting her hands dirty with his sweat and oil. Makeup on. Coming out of his thoughts, Shinba excitedly points out a dress he thinks would suit her. Izumi, indulging him, tries it on and flaunts the dress. Shinba muses that Izumi's approach to fashion is completely different from his. She must have accumulated her fashion sense through everyday life, which is why she looks so effortlessly beautiful. Noticing that he keeps asking her to try on everything, Izumi loses her calm and returns to her usual self, reminding him that they are there to find clothes for him. Seeing her serious face, Shinba starts shivering and apologizing as always. Izumi then takes his hand and walks toward another shop. Meanwhile, Shinba ponders how, even though they are so close, it feels like the distance between them is growing. He reflects on how her back seems to keep getting further away. As they reach another store, he tries on a cool pair of denim clothes and comes out to ask for Izumi's opinion. She responds with a smile, saying that she thinks it suits him. At the very least, he doesn't look out of place like he did with his previous clothes. Shinba flaunts his new outfit happily, saying how much he likes the jacket Izumi chose for him. He feels his self-confidence welling up, and writing this newfound confidence, suggests they take a picture together. However, Izumi instantly responds with a cold no, causing Shinba's confidence to evaporate in an instant. He quickly reverts to his usual trembling self, apologizing for getting ahead of himself and thinking he got carried away just because he put on some nice clothes. He humorously exaggerates that he'll strip naked and grovel on the floor. Seeing Shinba's saddened face, Izumi explains that she just doesn't like having photos of herself taken and apologizes. Shinba, confused, wonders if that's really the only reason, thinking how a girl as beautiful as her would surely attract lots of photos. To cheer him up, she smiles and suggests they visit one more fashionable store. As they enter, a sales turtle warmly approaches them, asking if they're looking for anything. Poor Shinba starts melting from the attention, but tries to compose himself, determined not to be as lame as before. Just then, Izumi turns to him and asks his opinion about a dress. Izumi is surprised to see him chatting and smiling with the sales girl. The sales girl hands him a jacket, which he tries on, setting aside the one Izumi chose. During their chatter, Shinba fails to notice Izumi's intense gaze from a distance. She composes herself and calls Shinba, snapping him out of his fantasy. She shows him the Metalman Collab hoodie and points out that it has his favorite hero on it. Shinba excitedly runs towards her, exclaiming that it's a limited edition and marveling that the store still has it in stock. When Izumi asks if he wants to wear it home, he eagerly agrees. He then politely thanks the sales girl and tells her he'll take the hoodie for today. Seeing him happy brings a warm, loving smile to Izumi's face. After shopping, they come out of the mall, and Shinba admits he had a lot of unexpected expenses, but is thrilled to have clothes picked out by Izumi and the limited edition hoodie. She laughs and asks if he's happy with his purchases. She then turns to him and, in her usual sarcastic tone, remarks on the effort she put into matching his jacket, shirt, and pants, only for him to mess it up with a childish hoodie. She adds that liking what he likes is fine, as being stylish is ultimately a matter of self-satisfaction. Hearing this, Shinba instantly gets nervous and starts shivering, apologizing for not appreciating all the thought she put into his outfit. In response, Izumi smiles and pats his cheek, saying that the hoodie suits him well, capturing his unique charm, his foolish appearance, unlearned humility, disgraceful weeping face, and overeager cheer. These are the most stylish points about him in her eyes. Shinba, unsure if she's mad or happy, apologizes like a fool. Izumi glances at him with affection and laughs politely, then says goodbye, promising to see him again in a few days. Later, Shinba heads to a job interview. He reflects on how, even though it's just part-time work, the thought of his past workplace makes him anxious about working again. However, he feels a strong need to build up something for himself, just like Izumi. He wants to chase after her, to graduate from being a useless person. He is determined, believing that this is what Izumi would wish for him. Shinba is excitedly researching an amusement park online in preparation for his upcoming date with Izumi. Understanding the importance of this date and wanting it to be perfect, he meticulously plans every detail, including popular attractions, efficient routes, and timing for obtaining fast passes, to ensure an unforgettable experience for Hizumi's first visit to Mauzi. The next day, they arrive at the park, and Shinba enthusiastically announces their arrival, eager to execute his carefully crafted plan. Shinba, full of excitement, declares his intention to make sure Hizumi has a great time, promising to handle everything. Hizumi smiles and acknowledges his effort, indicating she'll be in his care for the day. Eager to see her reaction, Shinba asks about her first impression of Mauzi. As they take in the scenery, Hizumi notices two girls standing nervously nearby. She asks Shinba to wait for a moment and approaches the girls, offering to take a picture for them. The girls instantly brighten up, happy and grateful for her kind gesture. She takes their phone and captures a memorable photo for the two girls, who are delighted and thank her warmly. They then suggest taking a photo of Hizumi as well, to which Shinba reacts with excitement. However, Hizumi declines the offer, extinguishing Shinba's excitement like a blackout. She smiles and thanks the girls for their offer. Shinba reflects on Hizumi's dislike of being photographed and wishes for a photo to make their relationship feel more real. Just then, Hizumi returns and apologizes for making him wait. Finally, they reach their first destination in the park, and Shinba excitedly announces their ride on the jet coaster, the park's most famous attraction. Hizumi, concerned, asks if he's sure about it, reminding him of his tendency to get carsick and his fear of heights. Shinba confidently assures her that he'll be fine, even though he's secretly terrified and nauseated by such rides. He thinks to himself that he can't admit this to his girlfriend. Determined to make sure Hizumi enjoys herself, he reassures himself that it'll be okay since he took some anti-nausea medication beforehand. For the sake of her happiness, he resolves to endure the ride and act like the cool boyfriend. The first ride has begun, and we can see the fear written on the stupid face of Shinba, while on the other side, Hizumi is fully enjoying the ride. His eyeballs are about to bulge out due to fear. He is totally trash, isn't he? Once the ride ends, Shinba is dizzy and nauseated, feeling embarrassed in front of Hizumi. She takes him to a restroom and later hands him some water and medicine to help him feel better. Sitting on a bench, she scolds him, frustrated that he didn't admit his discomfort earlier, and accuses him of just putting on airs. He nervously apologizes. Looking at his phone, Shinba realizes that the fast passes have run out. He recalls that since he had to spend time recovering in the restroom, his meticulously planned schedule is now completely disrupted. He sadly admits that because of him, they might not have the chance to visit all the popular attractions anymore. Trembling like an autumn leaf, he apologizes for showing her such a lame side of himself. But Hizumi, as sweet as ever, gently wipes his cheeks, sits in front of him, and smiles reassuringly, telling him not to worry. Hizumi reassures Shinba that she doesn't expect him to be cool, but appreciates him as he is, teasingly adding that she'll keep an eye on his uncool self, offering help and follow-up as a supportive partner. Hearing those words stung, Shinba quickly apologized for not meeting her expectations. Hizumi looks at him silently for a moment, then calmly suggests that they continue their day. She reassures him that there are still many other places to visit. She extends her hand to him, saying it's her first time there and she'll rely on him to continue escorting her. Shinba eagerly takes her hand, determined to make things better even just a little bit after his miserable mishap. Next, they head to the dance stage, where colorful characters are dancing in costumes. Seeing Shinba standing silently, Hizumi asks if he's not going to dance. Shinba admits that it's too embarrassing to dance in front of so many people. Hizumi smirks, reminding him that he said he's escorting her, which includes dancing too. Reluctantly, Shinba starts dancing, but his moves are as awkward as his personality, making him look like an idiot. He feels embarrassed, unable to move despite wanting to make even a small comeback. While others are enjoying dancing with the characters, they announce an opportunity to take a photo together with Mickey. Shinba instantly suggests to Hizumi to take a photo, but she only takes pictures of him with Mickey. Shinba realizes she won't take one herself and worries he's ruined her first experience at Mauzi. He doubts there will be any memory worth preserving today, wondering if she'll take a photo with him if he successfully escorts her. As they reach the restroom, Shinba excuses himself for a moment. Hizumi sits down, and the girl they met earlier joins her. The girl mentions her friend is in the toilet and thanks Oni-san for her help earlier. She then compliments Hizumi, saying she's so beautiful and cool. Hizumi smiles shyly in response. The girl then asks why Hizumi didn't take any photos, Realizing she might have been too direct, she quickly apologizes for the sudden question. She explains that she saw Hizumi with her boyfriend earlier and wondered why she didn't take any pictures despite being so pretty. Hizumi stays silent for a moment, then gently asks her if she enjoys looking at herself. She hesitates before responding, admitting that she doesn't enjoy it much. Hizumi agrees, saying she feels the same way about looking at herself. The girl seems surprised, but she continues, explaining that while she may not like looking at herself alone, she enjoys looking at photos taken with friends. She leans closer to Hizumi, expressing that commemorative photos preserve the feelings of enjoyment and happiness experienced in the moment they were taken. She believes that capturing these moments is a meaningful way to hold on to those feelings and memories. Just then, Shinba's friend arrives and screams, scaring Hizumi. They start chatting excitedly and walk away, leaving Hizumi alone. She silently looks around and ponders the concept of feelings in the moment. After Shinba returns, they head to their next destination, reaching Flash Talk. Shinba tells Hizumi that Flash Talk is a fun place where they can talk to Flash the Turtle and participate in question time, where anyone can ask Flash anything and he'll reply with something fun. Intrigued, they enter the Flash Turtle, where a warmly welcoming turtle greets everyone and the hall is filled with excitement. Before Shinba, a blonde guy named Tetsuya stands up to ask a question from the turtle. He introduces himself, and when the turtle asks if he has something to ask, Tetsuya nervously inquires if Flash has someone he likes. Flash enthusiastically replies, mentioning his beloved child, Squamator, causing Tetsuya to freak out. Flash notices and teases him, asking what's wrong with his reaction. Then, in a playful tone, Flash asks Tetsuya if he has someone he likes too. Tetsuya tightens his grip on the mic, but is unable to respond, leaving everyone in awe as they notice his bewildered face. After receiving no response from Tetsuya, the turtle apologizes, explaining that Squamator got hungry waiting for an answer and he needs to go feed him, urging Tetsuya to tell him another time. Tetsuya's girlfriend gets angry and criticizes him, calling him pathetic. Tetsuya stutters in response, explaining his discomfort with speaking in front of a big crowd. Hizumi remarks to Shinba about the interesting nature of the turtle, to which Shinba agrees, pondering how he would react in a similar situation. The turtle then addresses everyone, asking if anyone else has a question. Shinba waves his hand, prompting the turtle to point out someone at the back of the crowd for the last question. Seeing the turtle's signal, Shinba gulps and stands up, introducing himself. The turtle responds warmly, repeating his name and asking what he wants to ask. Shinba hesitates for a moment before asking, what should he do to become a cool man? The turtle advises him to hone himself and build on his wealth of experiences, emphasizing the importance of personal growth. He adds that conveying affection to loved ones is even more important than being cool. The turtle mentions his own affection for Squamato and playfully teases Tetsuya. Then he turns to Shinba and asks if he has someone he loves as well, leaving Shinba speechless. Shinba instantly points next to him towards Hizumi. Hearing this, the turtle excitedly encourages Shinba to convey his love like him. Everyone turns to look at Shinba, who feels discomforted. Sensing his unease, Hizumi reassures him that he doesn't have to force himself, especially in front of such a large crowd. Shinba is lost in deep thoughts, contemplating if confessing his feelings for Hizumi in front of everyone would embarrass her. He reflects on his recent behavior, feeling guilty for ruining her first trip to the museum and acting pathetic since they started going out. Despite being forgiven each time, he wonders if she would accept his confession as he is. Despite the numerous gazes piercing into his soul, he gathers all his courage and confesses his feelings, causing a tinge of blush to appear on Hizumi's face. Later, we see Hizumi dragging out a slightly paralyzed Shinba from the Flash Turtle Hall, scolding him for his trembling legs. Shinba apologizes, feeling embarrassed for her having to help him walk again. She admits that he received claps and whistles from everyone, causing his legs to buckle from the pressure. Shinba apologizes once again, and in a serious tone, Hizumi asks why he didn't stop. He nervously answers that he felt if he kept quiet, it would all be a lie. He admits his feelings for Hizumi, expressing his gratitude for her staying by the side of what he considers a useless human, making him a bit nervous. Looking at her serious expression, Shinba ponders whether she would be happy. Just then, she calls his name in a deep voice, causing him to nervously stutter a response. To his surprise, Hizumi hugs him and takes a photo of both of them, shocking Shinba. He asks why she's taking a photo now, to which Hizumi calmly responds, asking him to recall this feeling later on. She explains that it's so she can remember. Shinba is utterly bewildered while Hizumi looks at him with the same lovely eyes, laughing as she jokingly explains that she didn't dislike looking at them together that much after all. As their date concludes, Shinba reaches home and sadly ponders the strange day filled with mistakes, yet he cherishes their first photo together. Admiring Hizumi's photo on his phone, he realizes how silly he looks beside her. Just then, he receives a call from the company he interviewed with, making him extremely happy. He instantly texts Hizumi, who is looking at their photo with love. Hizumi's message tone rings, and she opens his text, expressing his excitement about getting a part-time job at a drugstore. He vows to do his best for reemployment and to become a splendid boyfriend. Seeing this, Hizumi is utterly surprised and gazes at it for many moments before falling back on her couch. Feeling loved, she hugs the plushie gifted by Shinba and squeezes it slightly, too stunned to say anything but letting out a soft giggle. Meanwhile, in the drugstore where Shinba is going to work, employees discuss the newcomer Ishikawa Shinba. The manager schedules the newcomer Shinba-kun for training the next day. He then assigns a girl, referred to as Bumpkin-chan, to train him on the register, cautioning her to be gentle as he seems inexperienced and useless. In response, the girl nervously reveals her own lack of experience, expressing her concern about training someone else. The manager winks at her, teasingly mentioning her request for complimentary tickets and playfully questioning who had to procure them for her. She recalls her enjoyable first trip to Mauzi, calling her a country girl. In response, the girl nervously acknowledges her teasing but asks for assistance if the situation becomes unmanageable. The manager says in a mysterious tone, questioning if the newcomer, Ishikawa Shinba, can work properly at the drugstore, referring to him as a useless human.
Here I am, know it's been a while.